要不是看在你的面子上，那个我进门屌两句就想走了，不是太奇葩了。
Many girls hope to marry a wealthy man, but this girl in front of me only wants to marry a second-generation heir with a family wealth of over 50 million yuan. She doesn't even consider first-generation wealthy men, or those with potential. She even declared that if she can't marry such a man, she would rather not get married at all.
而且我有去世纪佳缘打听过我能嫁多少的，然后其中一个红娘说我可以嫁2000万资产的，然后不过我自己想嫁5000万的。
The girl's name is Zhou Lanjun. Her father is an employee at a state-owned enterprise, and her mother is a dormitory cleaner at a university. Her family background is average, but her views on choosing a partner are anything but ordinary. The host was very curious about the source of her confidence.
很多富二代他要么是游手好闲，要么就是很花心。
可是很多人不是富二代也是游手好闲，也是很花心啊。
However, not all second-generation heirs meet Zhou Lanjuan's standards. She rejects those from rural areas or suburban areas, and only wants urban second-generation heirs. Additionally, they must be stylish and handsome, so their spending habits align with hers. Although she doesn't own any luxury handbags, that doesn't stop her from having great dreams. For this, she even took international etiquette classes. The host worried that her behavior might draw criticism from others. However, Zhou Lanjun remained steadfast in her resolve to find a second-generation heir.
我如果听了他们的话之后，他们能给我什么呢？能给我一片光明和未来吗？不能。如果不能的话，我会选择不去听他们的话，而是遵从自己内心的声音。
The host then contacted the first second-generation heir, Liu Xiao, for her. On the day of the date, Zhou Lanjun dressed up carefully, wearing a dress from 2 years ago and a recently purchased outfit, showing her utmost effort. At that moment, Liu Xiao called to cancel the date. He wasn't satisfied with Zhou Lanjun. If this one doesn't work, then on to the next. Zhou Lanjun was resolute. She must find a second-generation heir.
如果我不嫁富二代的话，我的一些就是比如说我的容貌、我的身材都会，还有我的社交的礼仪，还有我美好的品德、美好的性格，还有我的甚至是灵魂都会被毁了。
The host then contacted a second-generation heir Beta. However, he also wasn't interested in Zhou Lanjun. The host turned to Beta's good friend, Pipilu, who agreed to come and showed some interest in this bold girl. Before the date, Zhou Lanjun took selfies at the venue and started eating before the man arrived. The way she ate didn't match her goal of marrying into a wealthy family.
哎，拜托，你既然想要嫁入豪门，吃东西的时候幅度不要太大，好吗？雅观一点，优雅一点。
明白了，谢谢指教。那我再吃一个。
男生都还没有到，你不觉得现在就吃那么多会有点急了吗？
可是刚刚那个服务生不是说可以吃了吗？
等的那方还没有到的时候，可能我会先不吃，大家一起吃，要不然剩下的给别人吃不太好。
服务生再上一份吗？
你买单吗？
哦，这样啊，不错了。
So, Zhou Lanjun had to settle for drinking water while waiting. Pipilu arrived late. After meeting, Zhou Lanjun immediately laid out her requirements for the man's parents.
父母比较有明辨是非的能力，然后比较有求真务实的精神，比较有诚信的品质，这样子的话我才愿意喊他一声爸爸妈妈，才愿意为他孝老到终。
Hearing this, Pipilu paused his action of drinking water, looking confused. How could the parents of wealthy families be so easy to deal with? Zhou Lanjun believed she wasn't there to be a maid. So, her first requirement was that the man's parents must meet her standards. Since Zhou Lanjun had standards for the man's family, Pipilu, of course, also had standards for her.
因为富二代肯定要求面子，对不对？他要带出去，你要上得了厅堂，下得了厨房，是碰到朋友你还能谈个情，写个字，画个画。
Zhou Lanjun thought Pipilu was misleading her. Zhou Lanjun stuck to her views. She believed that at her age, she could only make up for her lack of skills in music, chess, calligraphy, and painting with money. Both sides held their ground, unwilling to compromise. Zhou Lanjun then shared her life plan.
觉得我实现人生价值有3个方面，第一是学历，第二是婚姻，第3是事业。
Pippalu asked her to take practical actions to prove herself. After all, anyone could talk big. Zhou Longjun wanted to show her college transcript, but Pippalu rejected the idea outright. A transcript can't prove everything. They then discussed the third point. Having children shouldn't interfere with her career. Children and career can't be balanced. Zhou Longjun thought of hiring a professional nanny, while Pippalu believed a wife or mother should care for the child. They clashed again. On the topic of dating, Zhou Longjun made another shocking statement.
大家都喜欢的类型，我绝对不是，我绝对是属于少数人的哦。我会保持好比如说这个男生，我觉得就会跟他保持好距离。就比如说他看我超过5秒钟，而且是含情脉脉的话，我就会马上保持好距离。你除了会泡妞还会干嘛？
Pippalu was also left speechless. Not all second-generation heirs only indulge in eating, drinking, and having fun. Some are capable. However, Zhou Longjun said she could accept all the shortcomings of Pippalu's good friend Beta. Zhou Longjun stated that although Pippalu's good friend Beta doesn't have the business acumen of a first-generation wealthy man, he is handsome. So, she can accept a second-generation heir like Beta as her boyfriend.
因为我觉得有外形的富二代潜力很大。
This double standard made Pippalu furious. He left on the spot.
这不是看着人面子长，我进门屌两句就想走了，这太奇葩了，这想法这种，我还没碰到过这样的人，真的，跟没看过社会一样的，脑子就是我想改这个，最后就为了他这样的这种感。
Zhou Longjun also felt Pippalu didn't meet her expectations, and their date ended in failure. The host suggested she try a different approach, such as considering an ordinary man with ambition. However, Zhou Longjun clearly had misunderstandings in this regard. Zhou Longjun stated that she was only willing to deal with the parents, relatives, and friends of second-generation heirs. For other men, she didn't want to face their parents and relatives. She felt that apart from second-generation heirs, other men were just wasting their lives. According to her, most men in the world are just loafers. It seems this time, Zhou Longjun's attempt to date a second-generation heir ended in complete failure. Do you think she can marry into a wealthy family? Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments section.
人就嫁了吧。现在小姐妹呢常说，大不了找个有钱人就嫁了。
In the past, elders always advised us, just marry an honest person. But nowadays, another saying is popular among close friends, at worst, just marry a rich man. It sounds easy, but at some point, rich man unexpectedly became a backup option. For those who say this, I really can't tell whether you're being naive or you think those rich men are naive. It's undeniable that women want to marry rich men, and men want to marry beautiful and wealthy women. There's nothing wrong with such pursuits, but they are the hardest to achieve. Why? Because wealth and beauty are inherently scarce resources. And so-called shortcuts are often the farthest and most difficult paths to take. If you really have the chance to marry a rich man, then before making this decision, you must be fully prepared mentally and capable of bearing the consequences. The following points are things you absolutely must think through carefully. First, a rich man may give you money, allowing you to live a carefree life without worrying about food or clothing. But don't expect him to truly entrust his core assets to you. He may give you some pocket money, enough for you to live comfortably, but controlling a large amount of wealth? That's almost impossible. You must accept this reality. What you can enjoy is a life controlled by him, not a future of freedom. Once he grows tired of you, he can replace you at any time. And if you try to betray him, don't expect to continue living a good life. The only way to maintain stability is to have children and wholeheartedly take care of the family, without interfering in his personal life. Think this through before you marry. Second, don't assume you can easily gain a share of his assets through marriage. Whether he's a second-generation rich heir or a self-made entrepreneur, such people are far from ordinary. Their experience in wealth management is extensive. While occasionally there may be a foolish son in a wealthy family, they are usually backed by a shrewd father. Do you think their wealth is casually stored in a family account? They have countless legal ways to transfer assets and ensure the safety of their fortune. If you're counting on a divorce agreement to claim part of his assets, you're dreaming. Third, marrying into a wealthy family doesn't just mean entering his life, it means entering his circle. You must evaluate your own capabilities to see if you can truly integrate into his resources and connections. Can you use these resources to your advantage? If you completely lack such abilities, then stop harboring unrealistic fantasies. Marrying a rich man doesn't mean you can rest easy. On the contrary, it's a new professional challenge. You'll need to learn about trusts, equity management, and even business operations. More importantly, you must be able to help him handle the complex relationships surrounding his career. If you can't do any of these, then once his business faces a crisis, your position will also be lost. In reality, those women who climb the social ladder by leveraging opportunities are rarely ordinary. Exceptional beauty and outstanding abilities are their basic qualifications. Those naive women who think marrying a rich man means lying flat need to understand that marrying a rich man is absolutely a high-threshold endeavor, not something every woman can easily achieve.
说句实话哈，现在的社会真的把女人捧得太高了。
To be honest, in today's society, women are truly being overly glorified. Many women earn only 3,000 yuan a month but look down on men who earn over 10,000 yuan monthly. They may not have a car, a house, or savings themselves, yet they demand that men must possess all these: car, house, and savings. Moreover, men must not only have money but also be romantic, family-oriented, and attentive to their wives. Otherwise, they'll be labeled as useless men. Meanwhile, waves of toxic chicken soup on the internet continue to influence many women's perceptions. For instance, phrases like "men earn money to support the family," "women are responsible for staying beautiful," "if you love me, you should give me money," and "a man's money reflects where his love lies" are repeatedly circulated, instilling unrealistic values in some women and even making them lose sight of the boundary between reality and fantasy. They only see the more men than women phenomenon in society and believe that women have the upper hand in the marriage market, thinking that getting married is an easy task. However, they overlook an important fact: in today's society, there are also over 100 million unmarried women. For men, the pressure of getting married nowadays is as daunting as climbing to the sky. Some women's demands are overly unreasonable, such as asking for a car, a house, and a large bride price. However, the men who can easily fulfill the car, house, and bride price package are actually those rare wealthy individuals or the rich second generation. Looking at reality, most men are ordinary people. Yet women all want to marry rich men. Facing this situation, ordinary men simply cannot meet these high marriage expectations, which results in them being unable to find a partner and being forced into singlehood. Worse still, some men even choose to lie flat. They don't date, don't pursue women, don't marry, and stop spending money on women altogether, opting instead for self-preservation. They live by the motto, one person eats their fill, and the whole family doesn't starve, and they manage to save a large sum of money every year. This mindset is spreading and has already become a trend. If this continues, such circumstances are truly worrisome. The continuously declining marriage and birth rates have already become a reality in society. If both men and women maintain such a cold attitude towards marriage, the future society will face a series of severe consequences, such as an intensifying aging population and increasingly severe elderly care issues. By then, nursing homes may become exceedingly prosperous. Don't you think this kind of future is worth reflecting on?
就你做乞丐的话，起码你能讨饭吃。
In fact, marrying into a wealthy family is far from being as wonderful as people imagine. Sometimes, it is even worse than being a beggar. At least beggars have the freedom to wander and beg, enjoying basic personal freedom. Marrying into a wealthy family is not as simple as the fairy tale life of living in luxury. Some women fantasize about receiving 200,000 yuan as monthly pocket money, with their husband only coming home a few times a year, thinking that such a life would be very happy. However, the gap between this imagination and reality is vast. One of my friends married a wealthy businessman from Taiwan. On the surface, she has an endless amount of money, surrounded by drivers, maids, and nannies. Her daily life seems extravagant, buying luxury goods, getting manicures, walking her dog, getting her hair done, and playing cards. But in reality, her life is completely controlled. Her husband comes home only twice a year, and every time she goes out, her movements are strictly restricted. She must return home before 7 p.m. She is not allowed to dine out with friends. The seemingly ordinary assistants and attendants around her are actually bodyguards monitoring her every move. Furthermore, She is not even allowed to participate in basic activities like returning home during the Lunar New Year to pay respects to her ancestors. Do you really think such a life in a wealthy family is easy? In fact, her situation is already considered good. Although her personal freedom is restricted, at least her material needs are met. The deprivation of her spiritual freedom is something she can barely tolerate. But what if the wealthy husband you marry turns out to be a psychopath? Such a man will not only destroy you mentally, but might also subject you to violence. And you may have no opportunity to resist, your personal freedom is restricted, and even your basic dietary needs may not be met. This is no exaggeration. I have indeed seen many such cases around me. So women should not always hold on to the Cinderella transformation fantasy, believing that one day they will marry a prince and live a happy life. Life in a wealthy family is not the fairy tale it seems to be, but a bottomless abyss. Marriages between those of unequal social standing often bring endless pain. As the saying goes, entering a wealthy family is like falling into the sea. Reality is far more brutal than fairy tales.
I sincerely advise young girls not to always dream about marrying into a wealthy family, especially a second-generation rich family, because it is completely unrealistic and impractical. Even if you are lucky enough to get involved with a second-generation rich man, the situation may not be as simple as you imagine. Even if the rich man himself is attracted to your looks, his family, especially his mother, will definitely not be foolish. She would never allow a woman who relies solely on her appearance, like a vase with no other abilities, to marry into their family. What they value is compatibility in social status, not just your beauty. I have seen many wealthy second-generation men, and their behavior has deeply convinced me of this point. They change girlfriends almost daily and do not take relationships seriously at all. At first, I even felt sorry for the girls they played with and blamed these second-generation rich men in my heart. Why can't you have a serious and proper relationship? However, gradually, I realized that those girls themselves are also difficult to sympathize with. Many of them are gold diggers who actively cater to these rich men, even lowering their own dignity to get close to them. This kind of behavior truly confuses me. I don't understand why some girls would choose not to respect themselves just for money. If you genuinely want to improve your life, even getting a proper job, such as becoming an office clerk, is much better than degrading yourself to please a wealthy man. At least in that way, you are earning money through your own abilities, rather than lowering your value to flatter a rich guy. More importantly, the idea of marrying into a wealthy family itself is an unrealistic fantasy. The world of the rich is not something ordinary people can easily integrate into. Behind the glamorous and seemingly perfect lifestyle lies endless bitterness and unspoken rules. Do you think it is realistic for girls to marry a second-generation rich man? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comment section, and let's discuss this topic together. If you like this video, please like and subscribe to our channel. Your support is very important to us, and we will continue to provide you with better programs. Thank you again for watching, and see you next time.